Welcome everybody. If you can hear me, if you can see us, definitely give us a heart, thumbs up, like, whatever. Let us know that you're out there. Let us know that it's not just us. Oh, look, we got Hillary. Oh, we do have somebody on here with us. Awesome.
Yeah, there's somebody.
Sweet. I was on a different screen, so I didn't see anybody yet. I was looking at the Facebook thing. So yeah, definitely welcome. If you want to join us live on the call, you can definitely do that through the Zoom link. Or I'm also taking questions and comments from the Facebook page. So you can also comment over there and I can relay them to Mike. And I also want to put it out there, this is a free resource. This is open to anybody and everybody. So if you want to share it, absolutely feel free to do that. If you want to invite other people into the calls, do that as well. To me, this is all just about getting the messages out there to people in this time that they really, really, really need them. So almost there and never. It's not just okay. Out there to people in this time that they. All right, so I don't want to do that. Leave that on. All right, so I'm going to give you a proper introduction here. All right, so well, actually, real quick, I'll introduce myself in case this is your first call, it's the first time you're tuning in. Hi, my name is James Dunn, and I am the organizer of this Turning the Outbreak into Opportunity, Facebook group, challenge page, whatever you want to call it. Really, when all this started coming down, I just looked at it as an amazing, incredible opportunity for so many people just to reset their lives, to really step back, take a look at, what they're doing, if they're headed down the path they want to be headed down. And if not, this is that, once in a lifetime chance to really take some time and put new systems into place, new habits into place, and just open up your mind to some new ideas. And so I wanted to bring coaches and trainers and people in here, over this 14-day, span, just to give you some of those tools that maybe you're missing that, just maybe unlock some ideas in your mind, as to just some new possibilities in your life. And so today I've got an awesome and amazing person that I've known for a while now, a few years, and his name is Mike Kitko. And I'm going to read a nice little introduction here. And so Mike is an executive self-mastery coach. He's a speaker. He's a published author. And after a colossal career and personal meltdown, he found his true purpose, which was inspiring leaders to find their power in authenticity. I can't read worth shit, man. Find their power in authenticity, purpose, and passion. He's a former Marine with an MBA. He's got decades of experience in leadership roles for Fortune 500 companies. And he's always felt like an imposter. His outward persona was one of strength and wealth, yet he struggled internally with self-confidence and self-fulfillment. His inability to understand his emotions led him to alcoholism, uncontrolled anger, and ballistic rage. The abuse of his marriage, family, professional career, and health are all documented in his book, The Imposter in Charge, which I'm going to give a huge shout out to. It's a fucking phenomenal book. And I don't just say that because I know the dude. I read a lot of books, and I really, really fucking enjoyed the book. Through coaching, intense study, and deep work, Mike has learned to embrace self-doubt and care for his body, mind, emotions, and soul with self-mastery. Now, Mike's overflowing energy, clarity, and love inspires souls. With an infectious zest of life, internal power, and inward confidence that matches how people perceive him externally, Mike has turned his life around, and he wants to help you do the same. And Mike also leads the Awakened Alpha membership community, which is something brand new. And he's a gathering of leaders who wish to find their power, purpose, and potential to lead an impactful life and achieve exceptional personal and financial results. Now, I know I didn't do that justice because I was reading, but I wanted to make sure not to miss anything, brother. But you are a powerful, amazing human being, and so welcome.
Well, thank you, man. Thanks. And it seems like our time's already up because that was a long intro.
I wanted to properly edify you. I didn't be like, yeah, I've known Mike for a while. He was my coach for a bit. And we're buddies. And yeah. Okay, now talk, Mike. No, fuck that, man. You deserve a truly proper introduction.
No, man, I really appreciate that. And I want to shine the light on you for a little bit because before we jumped on here, I shared with James that I think what he's doing is amazing. And I love from now I get to watch from afar and watch James blossom and watch James bloom, because I remember the early days where, James had this gathering, this social gathering, and it was a group of people that would come together, and James would inspire, of attainment and peace. And I saw, let me put that back on me. I saw glimmers of shining, but I saw a lot of doubt and a lot of holding back. And now it's amazing and it's beautiful. And I'm like starting to shake because I'm thinking about it, but it's been amazing watching you just open up like a beautiful fucking flower, man. And I'm so proud of you. And I love you so much. And, you know, there's times where you meet people in your life, and regardless of distance or you know, where you are in your evolution, you know that you're always just going to be part of that story. And man, I'm so proud and so honored just to continue to be part of your story after all these years. And you're just getting started. I know that with every fiber of my being, you're just getting started, man.
Well,
Proud of you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So, my name is Mike Kitko. I'm a coach, speaker, author, like James said. My story starts back, you know, I'm 47 years old now. But to give you a little bit of a little more flavor and to dive in with what James said, I'm a former Marine, but I grew up in Baltimore in a lower middle class neighborhood. It was a Polish, German, Catholic neighborhood in a German, Polish, Catholic family. And I went to Catholic school for many years. And I know, look, the education I got was great. It gave me a lot of opportunity. But the one thing from the religious part of the education that I got was, and maybe it was just me who took it away from the education, but was that desire and wanting was a sin. And it wasn't okay to want. It wasn't okay to put yourself first. It wasn't okay to take care of yourself. And it wasn't okay to really enjoy your own life. Right. So now I stepped out of the religious world and I went into the Marine Corps, and there was always these trials where I was either achieving or I was spiritual. And it seemed like, both parts of me wanted to really shine through. Both parts of those wanted to shine through. But from that religious upbringing that I gleaned from it, I felt like I couldn't have both. Either I could be a spiritual guy or I could attain and achieve. So if you go back to my fitness, one of my last fitness reports in the Marine Corps, decorated Marine. I was never in combat, but a decorated Marine, rated number one non-commissioned officer in my division, just excellent leader. Everything was all glowing in the reviews, right? But there was this part of me that said, but I'm not good enough. And this goes back to the self-worth and the self-esteem aspects of my being, that, being taught for years that I was nothing, but it, in school, whether intended or not. But I took that from the Marine Corps and some leadership acumen and some leadership strength and training that I received. And I took it into corporate America, and I quickly started ascending the ranks. And I, rung after rung after ladder after ladder. And we're from Maryland, my wife and I, and my wife is Angie. I have two little girls. Well, they're teenagers now. They're 15 and 17. But we were from Maryland. We were recruited to move out to Oregon. From there, I was recruited into another company to run a $65 million plant. From there, I was recruited out of that company to run a $350 million plant. They funded my MBA. They flew me all over the God's creation to train, and I got all this great experience. As I was ascending the ladder, and as I was like getting all the spotlight, and as I was getting rewarded and awarded, and as I was getting all of these great things, there was a part of me that was guilty and shameful for wanting more and for actually, achieving all of this. Not fame. It wasn't fame. It wasn't glory, but it was certainly fulfilling. And it felt ugly and it felt nasty because I enjoyed being in front of people. I enjoyed coaching. I enjoyed teaching. I'm passionate. I'm intense. And I love lighting people's asses on fire and getting them to move and getting them into their dream and into their purpose. And when I was doing that in corporate America, because I spent more time with my people one-on-one, coaching them and teaching them, in some cases, getting them out of corporate and into a life that served them, that served their benefit, not their best interest. So, for instance, I had a guy that he was a physical fitness junkie, and he loved physical fitness, and he used to go for runs, and he used to talk people into going on runs with him, and they'd go on these long runs, and he would teach them how to run more effectively and more efficiently. And when I started talking to him about it, I said, do you really want to be here? We were working in a manufacturing plant, and he was a machine operator. He was making good money, but you could see that his passion was his physical fitness piece. And he said, I love teaching people to run a healthier, ever thought of if they'd pay you a little bit and setting some fee structure? And he said, can I do that? And I said, well, why wouldn't you? And he says, well, I'm a machine operator. How could I do that? And I said, well, is there anybody in the world who's charging people and charging a fee and building a life out of increasing their physical fitness and teaching them? He said, of course. I was like, well, why isn't it available to you? So the point being is I spent a lot of time in my corporate career trying to get people into their zone of genius and into their purpose and into their destiny when it wasn't in my best interest whatsoever. And a line that I embrace, that I love, is I want for you what you want for you, even if that doesn't include me. That's what I want. I just want you to live soul out. I don't care what impact it has on me. So as I ascended the ladder and the rung of corporate America, I just kept feeling more and more shameful and guilty because I was having too much fun, and it was too rewarding. And I was taught what I had gleaned from my education and from my upbringing was that it was a sin to be fulfilled, and it was a sin to want more, and it was a sin to feel happy. Almost, it was almost like sacrifice was the norm, right? And again, a kid, it's my story. It's not the story of what's out there. It's my story. I'm just sharing my experience. So no guilt and shame and whatever on any philosophy, but this is just my experience. So as I'm ascending the ladder and as I'm receiving all this success, the guilt and shame started to consume me. And again, I felt like an imposter, and how can I do this? Who am I to do this? I'm not qualified to feel happy, right? Essentially is what I was saying. And my physical state, my mental, my emotional state, my spiritual state started to erode. And again, going back to the spiritual versus the achievement, I felt that I could only have one or the other. So I abandoned the spiritual state as I was climbing the ladder. And as a subset of my physical, mental, and emotional health deteriorating, I became a 300-pound suicidal alcoholic. My wife was in chemical addiction. My family was in complete chaos. There was physical, mental, emotional distress. There was physical, mental, emotional abuse in my house. It was just a storm of chaos within the confines of my house. So it led to 2 terminations in executive positions. I got fired twice. And after the first time, I had a president in an organization one time, and he says, if you get fired, if you haven't been fired once as an executive, then you're not really successful. So after the first time, I was like, whoo, I've arrived. Yeah. Awesome. Good. I'm in. And when it happened the second time, 15 months later, I was like, okay, something's not okay. And I literally had to make a decision. Do I kill myself or do I live? And if I kill myself, then, I can end the madness. But if I decide to live, I've got to wipe the slate clean, and I've got to rebuild everything because I obviously don't have things right. And I did make the decision to live. Thank God.
Thankfully.
And I remember when I got up from the suicidal chair, right? And I walked down my basement and I got on the treadmill and I ran about a half mile and I about killed myself. and I felt like I was going to die. And I was a really good Marine who had really good physical fitness scores. And here, 25 years later, I was in complete chaos. So from that point, it was just a journey of mastery, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual mastery. Now, I didn't have a job. I didn't have income. I wasn't worried about achieving. So I started reading like really cool books. And I was turned on to this guy, right? Eckhart Tolle. And he quickly became one of my favorites. And there was this spiritual aspect. I was always a religious guy, and there was this spiritual aspect. And as I started tasting the fruits of spirituality, of spiritual non-religious philosophy, I started getting really, really hungry for more. So I started like one book, you know how one book, and in there it'll give you like 2 or 3 other authors. So there was like this book trail. It was like boom, 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 boom. And suddenly, I mean, the next 50 books that I read were all spiritual, non-religious in nature. So fast forward and advance, you know, a year, and I was a super spiritual guy with a completely new outlook on life. I had dropped 100 pounds. I had dropped alcoholism. I filed for divorce from my wife, and that eventually broke her out of her chemical dependency because she chose our marriage over substance. So now our marriage was getting better. Our kids were getting like help, getting support. I was physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in tune. I said, well, maybe I'll go start a coaching business, because the only thing I ever enjoyed in my corporate career was lighting souls on fire, right? So then I decided to become a coach and start coaching people. And I was sitting down with a guy, and I asked some magical questions. All you aspiring coaches, here was the magic to starting a really prosperous coach. Tell you that right led to a coaching business, which replaced my executive income in my first full year of business. It really isn't that hard. People have problems, and they're looking for someone to help solve those problems. That's coaching in a nutshell. But from there, I stepped into a workshop or 2 workshops with this guy. From there, I got 2 one-on-one clients, and from there, it just started building quickly. So as my coaching business was building, guess what? You can't be spiritual and you can't be business at the same time. So the spiritual aspect of me started slowing down, and then like the Grant Cardone aspect of me started taking over. Achievement, 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 achievement. And again, there was this lopsided balance. So then as soon as I started getting really, you know, this success, the ego and the pride and the arrogance came out, and you could look at my Facebook posts, and I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet, and I'm the best. And then everything started to go away in my coaching business. And I was like, okay, well, something's wrong. What do I do? So then I started diving back into spirituality, and then I pegged into spirituality again. So it was this like lopsided, like my business was great. So I'd go all in, and then when it would go away because I got too intense and I got too driven and too passionate, blah, 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 it would flip. And I just kept going back and forth. And James, you've been with me. You've probably seen it over the years, right? There's a drive, stop, relax. Drive, stop, relax. There was no consistency because the internal philosophy in me were shifting radically. Keep advancing through. And I said, what's wrong? Why haven't I been able to put both of these together? What is it about achievement that pushes away spirituality? And what is it about spirituality that pushes away achievement? Because I really appreciate and love both of them. Mm-hmm. And I had to do some really deep digging and deep diving into why did I ever learn that achievement wasn't okay for spiritually minded people? And that was another opportunity for me to scrub that spiritual slate clean and start to rebuild in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that in the foundation of my coaching business now, I'll give you 2 powerful lines that'll help you understand how I coach and what I teach. is achievement without spirituality is empty, and spirituality without achievement is empty. We're not just here to achieve. We're here to achieve and enjoy. We're here to achieve and still find peace, happiness, harmony, joy. It's not just about the next accomplishment that we're here for. We're about the next accomplishment out of experience, and our current accomplishments create the joy and happiness, and it's having both. But it's okay to wake up with that intensity and that fire and that passion, that enthusiasm to go out and create and to engage with society and to lift up people and to help people and to create a mission that impacts. If you're just looking for a paycheck and to fill your bank account, then you're going to live a hollow, empty existence. If you're looking to create impact for the sake of shifting the trajectory of humanity, then not only is your head engaged, but your heart's going to be engaged as well. And when your head and your heart, when your mind, your body, and your soul are all in alignment, you're unstoppable. And that requires the balance of achievement and the balance of spirituality. It requires intentionally focused, powerful action, as well as making sure you're taking time to take time, making sure you continue to connect with your breath, making sure that you continue, we say, gratitude practice. It goes well beyond a gratitude practice. It goes well beyond just taking time. It's making sure throughout your day, just as much as you're taking action, intentionally focused, powerful action, in between those bursts of action, you're taking time to breathe and appreciate life.
Yeah.
And life is trustable, but we don't trust it. And it's lack of trust in life that makes life so difficult. And when we take time in between our intense, supercharged, superpowered bursts of energy and action, when we take time in between those bursts to really appreciate and taste life, sitting still, stillness, quiet, understanding that life is beautiful at all times, regardless of what you have and how you identify and what challenges you have, you're going to find that life becomes a lot more fulfilling. Mm-hmm. Because when I have gotten into my modes where it's action, 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 that's when I lose myself. But when I get into bursts where it's rest, 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 hello, hours an hour, you're just like, I don't know, a meaningless life.
Yeah.
So it requires that healthy balance, that intense, healthy balance. And I'll summarize all of this in a line that I heard this week. I just started this new cool thing, and it's called Achievement Church. And I held first church this morning. It was our first church session. And I no longer go to church, but this name came to me, Achievement Church. So in the spirit of James Dunn, Fire, Ready, Aim, I got the name Achievement Church. I posted about it, and it was go. I have no idea what this looks like, but we're going to hold this was yesterday. We're going to hold Achievement Church tomorrow, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's rock. I'll figure it out between now and then. I don't know what it looks like. But I had people join. One guy from Nepal. That was cool.
Wow.
One person from Nepal was on a Zoom line with Achievement Church. So that's really cool, right? A couple years ago, that was completely unavailable to me. Yeah. But when I opened Achievement Church today and I told them what it was going to look like, I started with this line. Kind of our anchoring statement today was this: in order to build the dream you dream, and we all have a dream, in order to build the dream that you dream, you must first become yourself. And I'm getting emotional because through the story, when you feel like you can't be all that you are, it's impossible to show up as you.
Yeah.
So guys, the journey, the joy, the mission, the opportunity, and the experience that you get to experience is first and foremost becoming you. That will open up the avenue and the window to everything that you dream. But as long as you're rejecting any piece of you, there's no way for you to experience freedom. We feel ultimately sometimes that if we have enough money, we'll experience freedom. If we lose enough weight, we'll experience freedom. If we have a loving relationship, we'll experience freedom. So when we lose weight, we still wonder why we don't feel free. When we have a bank account that's powerful with enough, we still wonder why we don't feel that we're free. And when we have that loving relationship and we're in it, but we still find the need to figure out a way to get them to change for our benefit because we don't feel free, we wonder why we don't feel free. That's because when you're not being yourself, it's impossible to feel free because you're ultimately living like an imposter. Mm-hmm. You're ultimately living with a mask. You're living in a box that you've got locked from the inside and you hold the key. And it's a beautiful journey. And when you start to unleash who you are on the world, it's lack of trust that makes life so difficult. When you allow yourself to trust life and you just open up and be you unapologetically and unconditionally, life has this really cool way of bringing all that you want right to you. And then not only do you get to experience you, the essence of you, you get to experience the best of everything you ever desired, including being on a call, holding something as silly as something called Achievement Church with a guy from Nepal. A couple years ago, I'm getting emotional. That shit was completely out of reach. Yeah. Like that 300-pound suicidal alcoholic could never have created created Achievement Church and worked with somebody from Nepal. Unfathomable.
Powerful, man.
The most loving, beautiful, glorious creation that you could ever create is just allowing yourself to be you. That's what I got.
That's what you got, man. Well, that's a lot that you got. That's some powerful shit. And honestly, that's, I think so many of us, we get caught up in this idea, like I say, it's all about achievement is, let's go get the highest paying job we can get. I mean, from the time we're kids, it's like, go get you a job, but it's always like, you're always looking for that. Okay, well, how much am I getting paid per hour? Like, we get 10 an hour. Oh, well, this job's 15 an hour. You should go get that job. And it's never ever, or I shouldn't say never ever. I'm trying to get away from the never ever anythings, but so often it's more of, let's find what's going to get you the most money versus what's going to truly light you up, what excites you, and how can you share your true gifts with the world. And that's where I think so many people get it wrong, is just getting too focused on that achievement side of it and not diving deep into who they are,
It all unlocks from the inside out. And it sounds so cliche, but there's a reason that the same less purpose, passion, but we create a life where we try to fit and try to manipulate life around our wound. You know what I'm talking about, right? So James and I both love a book called The Untethered Soul by a fellow named Michael Singer. In fact, I was on a podcast and Wes, And Wes said, yeah, James Dunn told me about a book called The Untethered Soul. I said, yeah, I gave it to James. So
Yep.
it comes full circle,
Yep.
right? But we build a life around our wound instead of recognizing the wound and healing the wound. And now we don't need to rearrange life, right? So we just go inside where all the magic is, where your shadow and where your light is, right? There's a shadow in all of us. Like if anybody shows you or tries to tell you that they have it all figured out, they're liars.
Yeah.
Right? They're acting out of unhealthy pride, and they've got a mask and they're hiding the darkness. So we all have a dark side. The dark side, the shadow, is what will ultimately enable and empower your achievement. The light in you will ultimately create your happiness and fulfillment. Your shadow will create your achievement, and you need both.
Yeah.
To reject the shadow is rejecting a part of yourself. And in order to fully experience freedom, joy, love, peace, those things that we all crave, that we all desire, you've got to accept both of them.
Yeah.
Because they're both powerful.
Yeah.
Part of your story.
Well, and then I got, just keeping an eye here on, the comments over here. And I got Sean, and he's talking, he said, being an introvert, getting into yourself scares a lot of people. And myself, I struggled that with, for a very, very long time. And it's really only been in the last 6 months, year, or so that I've really started just to accept, not everybody's going to fucking love me, which stabs me in the fucking heart. I've got this deep wound that I just want everybody to love me, but I've had to come to realize not everybody's going to, and that's okay. I would rather.
And look what you've done over the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Look at what you've done, right? Look at what it unlocked.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it was. I finally got to the point where I would much rather have 10 people that fucking love me for being me than 1,000 people that like me for being who they think I am.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It is hard. It's hard just to get to that point, but I mean, maybe it's because I'm getting older that I just don't, as we get older, we don't give a fuck anymore, but I see it. It makes no fucking difference what this person walking down the street thinks of me. If they think I'm being a moron, just singing along out loud, it makes no fucking difference in the grand scope of life.
Listen, and I literally just messaged this on Facebook just about a half an hour before we jumped on, because I was telling you about this earlier. I've got this guy who's in one of my programs, and I'll tell you my favorite people to work with. Okay, I'll tell you a story about me. And when I was on I was on a call with my coach one time, and we were talking about. I was looking at my portfolio of clients and who I had, and he said, "Hey, somebody in your portfolio, and your existing portfolio needs more of you right now." And I was a young coach, and I was like, I wasn't young, like age-wise. I was a new coach, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm the imposter, right? I was like, no, I'm just lucky to have them now. And he's like, no, somebody needs more of you. So there's somebody on your list. Who is it? So I looked at my list. I had them written on my whiteboard. I looked at the list and I named this name. I said, this person needs more of me. If there's anybody up there, this person, he's like, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to call and I want you to say this. He gave me, some talking points. And I was like, okay, I'll call you back in a second. And I hung up and I called her. And I walked through, hey, would it be a benefit to spend some more time with me and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that would be awesome. And in that one phone call, the rate that I was charging her tripled. And the time that I was spending with her doubled. So do the math there. But anyway, I immediately got off the phone with her and I called my coach back. All right, okay, what's next? So it's about action, right? It's about action, 10X, right? 10X rule. It's about taking action, doing things that you're scared to death to do, that you don't think are possible, doing them to see what it's like to do them. Yeah. So I've got this kid. I'm going to bring it back to the story about this kid. He's in my program, and we were talking through. He wants to be this thing. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I said, well, have you considered doing this? Have you considered doing this? Okay, here's well, all you got to do is do this. And I gave him some little tips and tricks. He did that. And on our very next call, he had these massive results that he started like stepping into this thing. He took action. He was scared to death, but he did it anyway. And then after on the next call, he's like, what's next?
Yeah.
Those are my
Awesome.
people, right?
Yeah.
And I call them spiritual high achievers.
Yeah.
Achievement, spirituality. He's a very spiritually minded, spiritually gifted guy. He's connected. He's got a heart of gold. At the same time, it's that achievement, and achievement comes from taking action, massive action, and just moving before you even think. Achievement, church. I don't know what it looks like. And before I get scared, achievement, church tomorrow. Here's something cool, is fear feeds on time. Mm-hmm. Fear feeds on time. Time is fear's food. It's fear's nutrition. With more time, fear will grow and blossom. Yeah. So the key to taking action and creating success and achievement in your life is before you can think and feel, do. Mm-hmm. Right? And so this kid did that. I did that. And that's why things are building and things were shifting, because you can't give fear its ultimate nutrition, time. You gotta move. You gotta move your ass. And when you do that, you'll start to see where you are. And from there, right, act, learn, adjust, act, learn, adjust, act, learn, adjust. Fire, ready, aim, fire, ready, aim, fire, ready, aim, right? You can see where you are. And that's how we build, and that's how we create impact in the world. It's not by thinking, it's by thinking, doing. Yeah. Right. That quickly. You can't feel, and you can't give it time. You've got to take away that nourishment, and that's
big. And I know that's something that always held me back, was, like you say, you would have this thought and you'd have a good idea, but then the more you sit on it, the more you think about it, the more you try and perfect it, that's when that fear starts creeping in. Well, it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be, something that people love or whatever. And then that just overpowers you and you end up not doing it. And so, like I said, that's why I've tried to dive so much more into this fire, ready, aim. You just gotta go.
So the message that I share with Facebook, now I'm getting all excited, but the message I share with Facebook is, listen, there's no one that's achieved more than you who's going to judge you for taking action.
Yeah.
No matter how bad your action is, no matter how unwell thought out it is, no matter how bad you are at something, there's no one who's achieved more than you who's going to judge you for your action. No. It's only the people that are hiding that are going to judge you.
Big time. Big time.
Only the people that aren't taking action, that aren't willing, that are scared, that are hiding, they're going to judge the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really want to live your life around those people? God love them. Let judgers be judgers, right? I'm not a huge Bible guy, but there's one sentence in there that I absolutely adore. Let the dead bury the dead.
Boom.
Right?
And what you're saying here ties perfectly into Sean. Also had another commenter says, we're going back about not giving a fuck what people think. He says, I do give a fuck but it's because I give a fuck. I want people to perceive me as the best possible me, because I'm actually being the best possible me. But like you said, nobody who is achieving anything in life is going to judge you for being yourself and trying and fucking up. I've never known anybody, like say, who's a true achiever and who is a true giving soul, ever look down on me for doing something, for trying and looking stupid, like, hey dude, you fucking give it a shot, man. Here, let me help you, take it to that next level.
If anything, they're going to reach a hand down and pick you up off the mat.
Yeah.
And dust you off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I know I've started 5 businesses. I've got one that's successful. Mm-hmm. I've got another one that we'll see. Yeah. And 3 that went nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. But the one is better than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
And the first 3 allowed me to create one that's better than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not all success.
No.
But it's the success is in the failure, right? You fail so you can learn how to succeed. It's amazing, growing up when I was a younger kid watching hockey, and it seemed like for a while, the team that lost the Stanley Cup Finals won it the next year.
Yeah.
It's like they learned how to win by losing.
Yeah.
And if you watch sports, there's a lot of teams that one year they'll get close, the next year they win it.
Yeah.
The Ravens, my favorite team in the NFL. I'm bringing this up just to spite you.
Of course.
But in 2011, they lost in the AFC Championship. In 2012, they beat the same team that beat them in 2011. They beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship, and then they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You learn how to lose so you can learn how to win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to all be success, but have
failing forward.
Failure. Yeah.
It's failing forward, man. That's how you figure it out.
Winston Churchill said failure or success is going from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I love it, man. That's so awesome. So I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So real quick, Hillary, we got you on the call and we want to give you a shot. Do you have anything that you'd like to toss in on the conversation or any questions you'd like to ask Mike real quick while we're still on here? I think she's going to
No, I mean, I've just been feverishly taking notes, and I needed to hear this today more than anything. I have been having technological issues lately with the lives and things like that, so it's no coincidence that today it worked perfectly to be on this call. So Thank you so much.
Well, that is so awesome that you were able to join us here on the call today. And hopefully, if you weren't able to catch the lives before, you can at least go back and watch the replays. Because we do, want to have these messages out there for you guys, to listen to over and over again. Because sometimes when you go back and listen to that second or third time, you'll hear things that you didn't hear the first time or the second time even. So definitely thank you for joining us. All right, so let me skim through here real quick, see if there's anything else.
Thanks for joining us, Hillary. I appreciated it, having you on here.
Yeah. All right, so it doesn't look like any other questions, anything on here, man, but I definitely want to say thank you so much, Mike, for hopping on here and sharing your gift with this group and with the world. I love you like a brother, man. You're my bro, and I really appreciate you hopping on here and just helping everybody today.
I love you, man. And it's so cool to see where you were. I get the privilege of seeing where you were and where you are now. And it's night and day. And it's because, first of all, you give a shit. Second of all, your courage is building. And now your courage is contagious because it's lighting other souls on fire. So I honor you, brother.
Awesome. We got Sean on here. Just also said he really enjoyed this. And he thanked us. So Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it, man. So, all right. I want to wrap it up and thank you guys all. Oh, actually, wait, before I do that, Mike, where can people find you? So if they want to follow you, connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you outside of right here, right now?
Yeah, well, thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. So my website is my name, MikeKitko.com, MikeKitko.com. And about 2 weeks ago, I launched a completely free 5-week virtual training, and it's called Awakened Leadership. And it's about awakening to the beauty and the joy within and learning how to lead from that aspect. So it's learning how to lead yourself, society, and your career and your family powerfully. And it's completely free. I would love it if you just registered, because I think my mission is to move mountains before I die, before my last breath. And the way I'm going to do that is to share everything that I've learned with the world. So it starts with this 5-week virtual training. If you want to register for that, MikeKitko.com/leadership. MikeKitko.com/leadership. Register, no obligation outside of that, but it'll connect us. And I'd love to guide you anywhere else on your journey that your heart desires.
It's so funny, man. As you started spelling out your name, M-I-K-E, I started going M-I-C-K-E-Y.
Yeah, growing up, I was always, give it to Mikey. He likes it.
Yeah. No, and Scott Shevlin is on the call too. So he's saying, hey, and thanks for sharing today. So
Scotty, brother.
good to see him on here. So, all right, well, I'm going to wrap this up. And again, thank you for being on here, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Definitely, tune in again tomorrow. We're going to keep this rolling. This is just the end of week number 1. We got a whole nother week of calls lined up and workouts. And we really enjoy, putting these calls on and love having you guys. So thank you all so much. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.